All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is May 24th. We got a jam-packed MLB slate. Happy Wednesday to everyone out there. Maybe we throw some winners your way on this Wednesday, Winners Wednesday. We're going to go through each and every game like we always do on the channel. I'll give you my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays, those will be in the pinned comment. And I update that throughout the day, always in by game time. In terms of yesterday, I think we paid a couple FanDuel salaries over there, going 1 and 3. Nationals, Twins, Marlins on the money line all let us down there. And then Christopher Morel over 0.5 bases is our sole cash. We got to be better tonight, guys, and I am determined to do so. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and comment your ride of the day, because at least our ride of the day comes through from yesterday, coming in from my man Matthew Scarberry, who has been riding, giving ride of the day is, heaters for a while now here. Spencer Strider strikeout ladder. Spencer Strider finishes with 11 strikeouts, so he ran up that ladder absolutely, guys. So shout out to Matthew with this fire ride of the day. If you do want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute lock, and I'll be jumping on board with someone's picks and then giving you guys a shout out, win or loss, in the next video. I don't always get to do it, but I will try to let you guys know which play I'm riding with. So if anyone else wants to jump on board with the ride of the day, I do think it'll be a really cool community thing. So keep an eye on the comments, guys. I'm replying to those ride of the day saying let's ride more often than not. So shout out to Matthew, and use hashtag ride of the day if you want to be tomorrow's or today's ride of the day, but shout out tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get into this first game. It's a tricky one, I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at the Texas Rangers taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yesterday, Nathan Eovaldi absolutely deals. 9 innings pitched. Texas wins that one 6-1. He just looked really good. On the mound for the Texas Rangers today, you have Martin Perez, 5-1 with a 4.01 ERA. And then you have Avito on the mound for the Pirates today, who's 3-3 with a 4.69 ERA. He's won his last game. He actually looked, both these guys looked good in their most recent start. So, it's kind of, I'm going to give a slight pitching nod to Texas today, but not all by that much. What I am going to trust is I think this Texas offense with those bats kind of keeps it going. They've still scored double-digit runs in 2 of their last 4 games here. They've put up 4 runs and 6 runs here. A little bit less variance, I guess, from the Pirates here, who went and, in game 1 scored 6 runs, and then in game 2 got shut down by Eovaldi, only scored 1 run. So I'm going to lean towards Texas on the money line. -124, I don't think is bad odds over on FanDuel as of right now. And then we have a total sitting at 9 runs here. I think Texas Rangers are going to continue to do their thing, score 4, 5, 6-ish runs at minimum, okay? If the Pirates can go out there and score, 3, 4 runs, I do think we're looking at an over here. So I'm going to lean in that direction. And if we do pull the trigger on the final play here as being an over, I do hope the Pirates bring their bats today, because yesterday, Eovaldi was just working them. All right, Philadelphia taking on Arizona. This Diamondbacks team may have something here. They've won 4 straight games, 5 of their last 6 games. They've won 8 of their last 10. And the Sixers, the Phillies, just not really playing great baseball here. They have lost 2 straight, obviously, to the Diamondbacks here, and have lost 7 of their last 9 games, which is not really what you want to see. And then, Diamondbacks finally looking at at being favored in this series. Game 1, they win that one 6-3. They were +180 dogs. Game 2, +130 dogs. They're coming into this game actually slightly favored at -110 here over on Caesars, and it makes sense. They have Zach Gallen going on the mound today, 6-2 with a 2.95 ERA against Ranger Suarez on the other side, 0-1 with a double-digit 10.5 ERA. And last game out did not look that great against the Cubs. Remember that game where the Cubs actually looked good? Well, he pitched 2 innings, 4 earned runs, a 4 whip with only 4 strikeouts there, so he did not look all that great. Gallen in his last start didn't look great either, which is a little worrisome. Probably, I would say, his worst start of the year. 3 2/3 pitched, 5 earned runs, 3.27 whip, which is not like him, and only 2 strikeouts. That was against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh teed off against them 5 days ago or so. In this one, I am going to lean towards the Phillies here. Keep on to say the Sixers. My basketball brain is just dumb right now. But I keep on I do want to lean towards Philadelphia here, +102 on the money. If you were in the comments saying I'm trusting Gallen, I'm trusting the Diamondbacks, they're going to win the 3rd game in this series, fine. I'm not going to argue. I don't think this is really a value spot on quite honestly, on either side of things. But I'm going to look at that plus money and look at Philadelphia to not come in here and lose 3 straight, even though they've been playing bad baseball. And I think this is going to be a game that everyone and their grandmother is on the Diamondbacks because, one, they've been playing so great. They have the pitching advantage, and they're now favored in this game. So, people's psyche goes, okay, they're supposed to win, right? So I am going to look at the underdog here. I don't know if it becomes a final play. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. We do have a total of 8 runs here, which I also like the over. This Philadelphia offense really has not been putting up a bunch of runs here, barring one game against the Cubs in which they scored 12 runs. In their last 9, the most they've scored is 9 runs. So you don't love to see that. I can't really give you a confident lean towards the over here, so I'm going to just take a peek at the under. I've seen 8.5 on some sports books as well, so I like that even more, but I doubt this becomes a final play. All right, we have the Guardians taking on the White Sox here. These two have split games 1 and 2 thus far. Cleveland wins game 1 3-0. Chicago bounces back yesterday with Dylan Cease on the mound. They win that one 4-2. Right now, the Guardians are minus 128 over on Sportsbooks on the money line here. Quantrill on the mound for them, 2-2 with a 4.06 ERA. And Michael Kopech on the mound for the White Sox here. I cannot figure him out, to be honest. He's been so up and down. Last start, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned run. A .13 whip with 10 strikeouts. You're like, oh my God. It was against the Royals, so I do want to provide a little bit of context there. But yeah, he's been up and down this season. Again, 2-4 with a 4.83 ERA is nothing obviously nothing really good. But even outside of that, he's had a couple different games this season where, he comes in and pitches decently. They've won 3 of his last 4 starts, 2 of his last 3 here. The team has won. He's got those wins as well. I think, crazily enough, I am going to look at the White Sox today at plus 125. They did it yesterday. Quantrill on the mound for the Guardians. I'm not shaking in my boots, scared of that guy. So I'm going to hope that Michael Kopech actually goes out there, pitches a good game, and lean towards the White Sox here. In terms of a total 8 runs, I think it's a little bit high. Barring any sort of blow up from either one of these pitchers, I do think that this game finishes just like it has been on this series so far. 3-0, 4-2, that type of a game. Do not look now, but this Giants team is on a roll. They've won 3 straight games here. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, which they are cooking, playing decent competition as well. Philadelphia, who, yes, they're on a little bit of a slide, but then Miami, they take 2 of 3 against. I would say Miami is a good team. And now they're playing Minnesota, who I've talked about Minnesota plenty. They've kind of gone on a slide. They're almost at 500 baseball right now at 25-24, which is not what you like to see because they were a good team just a while back. But they don't have this weak schedule in terms of, being able to go off on this win streak. So I give them a little bit of credit here. My lean in this game, I think this one is going to be a slightly closer game. I shouldn't say closer game than what we've seen. We've seen a 4-1 game and a 4-3 game, not the biggest of blowouts or anything like that. But I do think that this is going to be an under type game. We're looking at 7.5 total under type game, which helps me, convince myself that the Tigers, the Giants plus 1.5 is the move here. Now, even if Minnesota wins this game, I don't think that they cover the run line. They've really barely been doing that. They've only done that 2 times in their last 8 games when favored. And, obviously, that trend is there. And then you look at Joe Ryan on the mound for the Twins. Yes, amazing pitcher. 6-1 this season, 2.25 ERA. But if he's going to not let the Giants score, I don't think that this Twins offense has really shown that, they're going to go out there and score a bunch of runs. They've scored 2 runs, 1 run, and 3 runs in their last 3 games here. So if all goes according to plan, sure, Joe Ryan can go out there, be a good pitcher, shut down this Giants team, but the Giants will score 1-2 runs, and Minnesota will score 3 runs, and we cash an under as well as Giants plus 1.5 on the run line. So that is what I'm looking at there. DeSclafani on the mound for the Giants here is 3-3 with a 3.09 ERA. I will say, I think, like I told you, the Twins have the better pitcher today, but I'm really hoping for a very close game, and that would definitely help the San Francisco team cover that plus 1.5. They've done it as underdogs 9 times in a row here. All right, guys, have you entered the giveaway yet? We're going to call it at the end of the Memorial Day weekend. Here we have a giveaway going on. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at EvPicks with a Z, and then you guys just have to DM that same account being like, hey, I'm entering the giveaway. Literally as simple as that, and you can have a chance to win an officially licensed MLB or NBA jersey. All you got to do is those 2 things, guys. I have them right here. Follow me, EvPicks, on Instagram, and then DM me saying, hey, I'm joining the jersey giveaway. It is very, very simple. And, I'm happy to do this, guys. It's kind of like a thank you for the recent help and support. We're trying to grow the Instagram as well because, I've posted about it plenty, but TikTok just keeps banning my accounts. So when we do our player prop content and short form content, I'm trying to transition most of that over to Instagram. So go hit me up there if you guys do want to enter the giveaway. Let's keep the train moving here. We're looking at the Brewers taking on the Astros here. Astros yesterday ended up catching the L 6-0 here. So Milwaukee bounces back in a decent way. You can tell I was kind of on the fence about that game yesterday, but moving into this game, I do kind of like where the Brewers are at. I mean, I guess I shouldn't necessarily, like one game shouldn't tell me, that they look good because they lost like 10-2 the night prior or something. I don't have it in my notes, but something crazy like that. So I shouldn't be hyped up about a Brewers team to come into this game, but I do like them coming off of a good win yesterday at home here for decent money at -103. So I'm going to lean towards the Brewers. Adrian Hauser on the mound for them. He's no decisions yet with a 3.07 ERA. 0 earned runs through 6 innings in his last game. That was against Tampa Bay. So he's coming off of a decent pitching outing. They just scored 0 runs for him, like actually 0 runs. 1-0 was the final score there. Through 6 innings, he allowed 0 runs. Balick on the mound for the Astros here. I don't trust him, so it doesn't really turn me off of this pick. His last 2 starts here, I will give him credit though. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run there. His whip was a little high at 1.6, but 9 and 4 strikeouts, so middle of the road, right? But nonetheless, I am going to be leaning towards the Brewers. Total sitting at 9.5 runs. We really haven't seen both teams contribute yet. We've seen a 12-2, which I have it now up in front of me, 12-2 game in game 1, and then 6-0 game in game 2. If even like half of, percent of these two teams, both contribute towards scoring runs in a game, we hit an over here. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the over, but based on what we've seen, it doesn't look like that's really a smart pick. I'm almost, betting on, I guess, fairy dust out there because we haven't seen both these teams kind of contribute in a game yet through 2 games. All right, the Cardinals bounced back yesterday after losing game 1 of this series against the Reds. They win 8-5 yesterday. On the mound for the Cardinals today is Steven Matz, 0-5 with a 5.05 ERA. Ben Lively on the mound for the Reds. I think I almost said Blake Lively. On the mound for the Reds, 1-2 with a 2.45 ERA. Matz's last start, only let up 0 runs, but only threw 4 2/3 innings. The game before that didn't look all that great. Lively here, only 1 start this season, 5 2/3 pitch, 2 earned runs with a .5 whip and 8 strikeouts. I am going to look at this St. Louis team, though, on the money line. I don't really know much and trust much about 1. I guess I would say Lively, but then 2, definitely don't trust the Reds, even though they take game 1 of the series still in a close one, though. I don't necessarily trust them. I think you're getting decent value over on St. Louis today, too, at -155. I think this could easily be sort of like a -160 and beyond type odds game, so it worries me just a hair as to why, the Cardinals, being the better team, are, kind of priced at -155, so that may turn me off ultimately, but nonetheless, I think it's the Cardinals spot. In terms of a total 10.5 runs, I think both these pitchers get batted around. We've seen 2 overs already over this line in the series. We see a 6-5 game. I believe that maybe went to extra innings, if I'm not mistaken, and then we saw an 8-5 game, so hitting this over here. I don't think these 2 pitchers are going to come in here and absolutely deal, so I do think that this is an over spot for both teams. All right, Tampa Bay taking on the Blue Jays here. Blue Jays getting a little bit of a bounce back win, I would say, yesterday after losing game 1 of the series. They win, I can't count that high, but they win 20-1 yesterday. Jose Barrios cashes for us in our no house advantage play, which we posted as YouTube shorts, so that was nice. We cashed him and Spencer Strider on the strikeout lines, 3.2 timesing our money over there. By the way, if you want to sign up for no house advantage, link in the description here. But yeah, I mean, I can't envision Toronto comes out there and does it again. But that being said, I have a feeling, and I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be on Toronto because, that's just such a public thing to do. They win 21 the game before, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they're going to crush them again. I'm actually going to be leaning towards the Rays here. I think you have really good odds. Not really good odds. I think that you have a really good shot of winning this one in terms of a parlay or something like that, but the odds aren't that great. So I do think a lot of people are going to look at this Tampa Bay Toronto team and say, oh my God, they won 20-1 yesterday, plus 175 today. Yeah, let's lock it in, guys. don't take the bait. That's just not worth it. McClanahan on the mound for the Rays, 7-0 with a 2.05 ERA. Kikichi, I always talk about for the Blue Jays, right? 5-1 with a 4.08, but he's just a couple pitches away from being blown up at any given moment, pitching 4 innings, letting up like 5 runs, that type of thing. I don't really buy into him all that much, but yeah, I do think that this could be a parlay play for Tampa Bay on the money line, and you're not getting the best value, but I do think that if you take anything from this game lean, it's that don't feed into the BS that is a team that won 20-1 yesterday and say, oh my God, now they're that big of underdogs. They're probably feeling it. Can Toronto go out there and win this game? No kidding. These are professional baseball players, but I don't think that it's worth, Vegas knows what they're doing over here. Plus 175 looks like some serious bait, if you ask me. So I'm going to stick away from that one. I do think that, the Rays could be a parlay pick. I think that they bounce back in a decent way with their best pitcher on the mound. In terms of a total 8 runs here, I think this one actually does go up and over. That's one thing, and I'm not necessarily feeding into what happened yesterday, but the bats have to stay at least warm for Toronto, right? Regardless of how good McClanahan is. I mean, you have to look at these bats and say, okay, we scored 21 runs yesterday. Even if we scored 25% of the runs we scored yesterday, we scored 5 runs and make them more than half of this total. And Tampa Bay, they're going to score 1 run and not bounce back. Last time they scored 1 run against Milwaukee, they bounced back with 8 runs themselves. So I do like the over here. That's probably, I would say, my favorite play in this game because, again, the only thing that I lean on aside is Tampa Bay in some sort of a parlay, but I don't even know if we're throwing together a parlay today. But yeah, I guess I lean with the caution on the Toronto side of things. I think it's a baity play, and then also the over here. All right, we got the Nationals taking on the Padres. Nationals let us down yesterday on the run line, the first time in 3 games that did not cover that. On the mound for the Padres today is going to be Ryan Weathers. He is 1-2 with a 3.42 ERA. And then Trevor Williams on the mound for the Nationals. I might call him Trevor Womp Womp moving forward. 1-2 with a 4.26 ERA. I call him Trevor Womp Womp. He just has not been that great. I guess even last game was probably one of his better starts here. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, only 1 whip and 5 strikeouts, and they lost, and he got the loss. So I really don't buy much into him. I will say, though, this line is kind of fishy to me. This San Diego team, they look good yesterday. They beat this team. They've won, they beat the Red Sox in game 3 or 4 of that series to close out the series 7-0. Then they win 7-4 yesterday. You're looking at a pitcher on the mound for Washington that I really don't think is all that good. Now, I'm not talking about the Padres pitcher. Ryan Weathers isn't anything to brag and write home about, but to see them priced at minus 145 over on MGM is a little fishy to me. Yesterday, I mean, yes, they were playing against a better pitcher, but with a better pitcher, Yu Darvish on the mound, they were priced at minus 158 closing odds. So the fact that you have better odds today is a little bit fishy to me. I am going to lean San Diego regardless. The odds are still good, but it's weird to me. I think this could be more of like a minus 160. So it's interesting. I'm almost curious as to what the sportsbooks have going on there. But they probably got some new research tools because we lost so much yesterday and paid for a bunch of new algorithmic tools for them. Yeah. Welcome, guys. I just made sportsbooks better yesterday. In terms of a total 9.5 runs here, I do like the over. We've seen San Diego score 7 runs in both of their last 2 games here in Washington. That offense has been starting to get a little bit more consistent. 6-5, 4 runs in their last 4 games here. I think their floor is right around 3. I don't think they're going to score less than 3 runs. If San Diego goes out there, scores 6 runs, or 5 runs as a floor, right? And Washington scores 3 runs as a floor. If one of them kind of, gets a little bit beyond that floor, I think this one is a fairly easy cash on the double digits, especially with 2 pitchers that can let up a bunch of runs. All right, Yankees get the 6-5 win yesterday. Garrett Cole only pitching 5 innings there. Close game, again, 6-5 here. Today, we're looking at least on the mound for the Yankees, Nestor Cortes, 4-2 with a 5.21 ERA. Tyler Wells, who had a great start to the year, I would say cooled off, but still pitching well. Tyler Wells on the mound for the Orioles, 3-1 with a 2.94 ERA. Last time out, he had 3 earned runs over 5 innings pitched with a 1.4 whip and 7 strikeouts. Last time out for Cortes, 2 earned runs through 6 innings pitched with a 1 whip and 6 strikeouts and got the win against Toronto here. You're looking at some decent odds if you are on the New York side of things. I think I'm going to follow the money though. 89% of the money right now is on Baltimore for plus 116 over on FanDuel. I don't hate the Yankees in this spot at all, but I am going to kind of look at this and say, okay, well, Baltimore, 1, definitely has the bats to be able to win this game. They do. And they could put up those runs if need be, or at multiple times. They've been a little inconsistent, but talk about a floor. Like, they're scoring 5 runs and losing games and having bad games, right? So I do think that this is an offense that's worth noting, and a really fun offense to watch too. So it helps, when we lean towards the over as well here at 8.5. I do like the over here as well, but I could also see the Yankees pulling this one out. So if you're in the comments or if you're watching this saying, oh my God, I was looking for validation on my Yankees pick, you like Baltimore, don't go that far. I don't think that this is an absolute lock. If Baltimore is minus 110, I wouldn't be looking at them today. So there is I think there's too much value to ignore at plus 116 when they are, I would say, at pretty even odds, at least skill-wise, pitcher-wise, and everything else. Actually, I would say that they probably have the better pitcher today, to be honest. So I do think that there's some value over there getting plus money on Baltimore. If you want to throw something into a parlay on this game, I would say that their plus 1.5 run line is actually a good look as well. It's a minus 170 on FanDuel. It's a lot of juice there, but they've covered that in 8 of their last 10 as underdogs. They've covered it in 7 straight as well. So I do like that. They're keeping games close even when they are losing them. And like I said, we're also looking at the over here. All right, Atlanta taking on the Dodgers in this one here. Yesterday's game, I think, went how, I guess, LA wanted it to go. In fact, this series so far, they won 8-6 and then 8-1, but I was a little shocked Atlanta how they end up losing that game 8-1. Spencer Strider with 11 strikeouts, I believe he finished with as well. So it's tough to lose when your pitcher goes out there and throws 11 strikeouts. But hey, it is what it is. Bryce Elder on the mound for the Braves here too. You guys know that I like him. 3-0 with a 2.06 ERA here in his last start. That was against Seattle. Was that the Bryce game when both pitchers looked good? I kind of forget. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs with a 1.3 ERA and 6 strikeouts. Kind of middle of the road there, but again, still, we'll take 2 earned runs any day of the week from a starter. Gonsolin on the mound for the Dodgers here. He's looked pretty good too. 3 starts in a row, 0 earned runs. He's pitching 5-6 innings. His whip has stayed below 0.8 in all 3 of those starts. So I'm going to give credit where it's due. The only thing that I don't like here is that this is Elder, I think, a better pitcher. Gonsolin's on fire, right? But you look at this and then you look at the lines and you kind of read the line and say, okay, the Dodgers have won both games and now they're underdogs. So I'm going to fade myself. I want to say, okay, Dodgers, but I'm going to fade myself because I think that is, again, sort of like a baity pick here. They're even odds, so you get some plus money, probably on multiple sports. I'm looking at DraftKings right now, plus money for a team that's won these last 2 games, scored 8 runs. Something doesn't smell right to me there. So I'm going to fade my own sort of like gut reaction and look at the numbers here and look at the Braves, who are a good team, who do have a good offense, who have an offense that, did not shine through yesterday, an offense that I think can get to Gonsolin, and they're minus 109 over on FanDuel. So very, very slight favorites here. I guess, hopefully that makes sense to you guys, but I really look at this and say, okay, what should the expected, I guess, odds be in this game? The Dodgers, I would say, should be around minus 125 or something like that. The fact that they're even odds, it's just like that Toronto game where I'm like, okay, this is a little fishy. It's like Vegas asking us just, to eat out of their hand and say, take the Dodgers today. I'm not doing it. I'm going with the Braves. Watch the Dodgers win like 20-1 now, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should have just gone with my gut reaction. It's big enough. But yeah, we're going to lean towards the Braves here. And then in terms of a total, 9.5 runs, I think this one actually stays under. Yes, the Dodgers offense has kind of, been really good, especially in this series. 8 runs scored in both games. But I don't necessarily think that, they get to double digits today. In fact, yesterday's game was 8-1, still stayed in the single digits. I'd see this one as more of like maybe like a 5-3 type of game in favor of the Braves. So I'm going to lean towards the under. All right, next game, we have the Cubs taking on the Mets, and I'm telling myself, don't bet the Cubs, don't bet the Cubs, don't bet the Cubs. We're betting the Cubs. We're going Cubs money line in terms of a lean here. They are minus 110 odds on the money line, taking the win yesterday, 7-2. And like I said, one safe thing here. Now, they are underdogs, but one safe thing here, if you're looking at the Mets, and they're favored, minus 1.5 on the run line, I think that is going to be a consistent thing that we can look at and hammer all year long, to be completely honest. In terms of a total, it is way down there. I do have an updated total here at 6.5 runs. Now, we do see some weather. I guess, it's going to be cloudy, cold, 17-mile-an-hour winds blowing directly back into the batter's faces, but 6.5 runs is 6.5 runs, so I don't necessarily hate it here. On the mound for the Cubs is Stroman, 3-4 with a 3.05 ERA. He has not lived up to what I would like to see out of him. Senga on the mound for the Mets, 4-2 with a 3.77 ERA. I do think that, this is a spot where this Cubs team, can take advantage, especially if Vegas is expecting such a low total here, in which both these teams have covered, obviously, because that is like one of the lower totals that we've had all year long. But this is a Mets team that just does not seem to fare well in many close games. If they do win them, they're not blowing them out. I guess that they're kind of pulling out by the skin of their teeth. And this Cubs team, maybe they're finding something, or maybe I'm somehow turned into a Boston-based person that's a Cubs fanboy, because I've bet the Cubs probably more than any team this season, and I can't get them out of my head. I keep going back to them, so maybe it's a little crazy. Maybe it is. I'm leaning towards the Cubs on the money line, and like I said, I'm going to look at the over 6.5 runs. It's just too low to pass up. I don't know if it becomes a final play, because it's kind of like the opposite of like the Colorado effect, right? I see that high total, and I'm like, oh, I want to pull the trigger on the under, but we kind of leave it at leans more often than not, because you never really know. All right, Kansas City taking on Detroit. Kansas City wins yesterday 4-1. I don't necessarily love this series, but I do think Detroit bounces back in a decent way, and you're getting some even odds on them as well. Anytime I see a team that is an underdog against the Royals, I think I'm going to have to, take that. So even odds for Detroit as of right now is definitely well worth it. Boyd on the mound for them, 6.21 ERA, not that great, 3-3 record. I don't think that that's anything, obviously to write home about, but Greinke has not been good for the Royals here. He is, in terms of record, 1-5, lost his last game. Actually pitched okay, for once this season. Only let up 2 runs through 5 2/3 with a .8 whip. I think he's starting to feel it, if I'm being completely honest, but still, I need to see a little bit more from him before I trust him and bet on him, I guess. So I'm going to lean towards the Tigers here at even odds. Total is sitting at 9 runs as of right now. Both these pitchers can let up a bunch of runs, but I don't really know if the offenses are going to be there. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but again, guys, this is not a series that ultimately entertains me. Does Detroit moneyline have a chance to be a final play? Yeah, actually, because there is value there, but this is not a game or series in which I'm like, oh, I love these two teams. Battle of the Titans, blah, blah. No. All right, guys, before we get to the last 3 games of the slate, I do want to talk to you guys about Outlier. If you're new here and haven't heard about Outlier, then you are missing out. And you probably should have watched my videos a week ago, because you would have jumped on board with Outlier, and it would have helped you win some bets in the meantime. Start betting on sports smarter today, guys. Outlier is the best app and website to use for that. You can see with the visuals to my left, your right here on the right side of the screen, how visual it is. Green is good, red is bad. It's so easy to identify player trends, team trends, how they've been performing, and you can also place bets directly from Outlier. You can click add to my picks, and then with one click of the button, it'll open up your browser or your app on your phone of the sportsbook that you choose, and it'll go and find that play and put it in your bet slip, and then you can make your bet. So you don't have to go digging for those picks. They also have a really cool trending page right on their home screen, and identifies a bunch, no matter what sport you want to look at, identifies a bunch of trending plays that you guys can hop on board with, and they do all the heavy lifting for you. Go try it out. 7-day free trial with the link in my description and the pinned comment, guys. It is well worth it. And like, I don't think Outlier, likes me saying it, but again, free is free. 7 days, you could make some money. I think it's well worth paying after the fact. It is $19.99 per month. A lot of people that have signed up have said, I think that that's well worth it. You win a couple bets, it's paying for itself, right? So I do think it is a great tool to invest in. And you're kind of investing in yourself too. Like, get better at researching instead of just coming on here, maybe blindly following someone, or not really knowing what you're looking for. This is a tool that'll help you learn about sports betting, as well as finding sort of a process for yourself. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Again, that is Outlier. All right, we got Colorado taking on the Marlins here. This Marlins team letting us down a couple games in a row here. They've lost 3 straight. They've lost 2 to Colorado here. Don't necessarily love what I'm seeing out of them. They do have Sandy Alcantara on the mound today, which should be a good thing, but hasn't been a good thing. Like, this Cy Young winner is just not playing, or not pitching well. He's 1-5 with a 5.21 ERA. Carl Kaufman, who I'll be the first one to admit I don't know all that much about and haven't seen much of on the mound for the Rockies, 0-1 with an 8.31 ERA. I think I'm sticking away from either side of this game, if I'm being completely honest. Now, I'll tell you why, because minus 160 on the Marlins right now, in a team that, one, isn't playing that great of baseball in their last week and a half or so. They started to heat up, and then it's like, oh, no. Nah, we're not going to play good, right? And then all of a sudden you look at Sandy Alcantara. How can you really back Sandy Alcantara in this I would say, environment, but in this season so far, like, they've lost 2 straight games when he's pitched. He's actually got the losses here. He can't keep his whip down. I just don't really love what I'm seeing from him. Obviously, you expect him to go and be lights out, and he really hasn't even been the best pitcher on the team this year, which is tough to see. So I'm sticking away from the Marlins. That's where my mind and the numbers want me to go, but I gotta use the eye test here, and just they have not been playing good baseball. What I will consider is Colorado plus 1.5 on the run line at home, and then we look at a total of 11.5 runs. Until I see some, confirmation that this Miami team's going to score a decent amount of runs, I get it, altitude and all that. I'm still going to lean towards the under. I got to see some bats hitting balls before we worry about, the air pressure. All right, Angels taking on the Red Sox here. On the mound for the Angels is going to be Ty Anderson. He is 1-0 with a 5.27 ERA. On the mound for the Red Sox, Paxton, who's 1-0 with a 2.45 ERA. He got the win he got his first win of the year in his second start in 2+ years. Last game against San Diego here, he pitched 6 innings with 1 earned run with a 1.17 whip and 5 strikeouts again in that win. I'm looking at the Red Sox on the money line here. They've lost both games this series already, 2-1 and then 4-0. In games that you could make arguments that they were close. Obviously, the 2-1 game close. That 4-0 game yesterday. This is the Red Sox are going to Red Sox at time, okay? They've been doing that. They've been blowing games. Bullpen's been letting up some games at times, you know what I mean? But this Paxton start here, I think is a good spot for him. I do think that him coming back from injuries, looking decent so far to start the year again. His first game, they did end up losing, but he pitched 5 innings with only 2 earned runs with a 1 whip and 9 Ks. So he did look good, but the bullpen ends up letting it up, right? So I'm leaning towards the Red Sox. You're getting -108 odds here on the money line, and the total is 9 runs here. If the Red Sox are going to score 8 runs, I like the over. If they're going to stick to what they've been scoring, which is 4 to 2 to 5 runs, really, right? I do like the under because I think that same thing for the Angels here. They're kind of right in that ballpark of scoring 3, 4, or 5 runs. If both these teams go out there and score 3 or 4 runs, we cash it under here. It is crazy, though, because I remember at the beginning of the year when the Red Sox were cooking, I was like, you're not going to be able to convince me to bet a Red Sox under for quite some time. But we're here now. You know what I mean? The bats have cooled off, which we timed that sort of regression of the Red Sox perfectly. We were betting them as these dogs. They went on a massive win streak, and they were like, all right, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. And I don't think we even took during that time. We did recently take a final play loss with the Sox, but I don't think even during that time, we think we got out while we were still ahead. All right, Mariners taking on the Athletics here. This Athletics team, as we know, is bad, but they kept the game close yesterday. I know -1.5 was a big play for a lot of people out there, but Mariners only win that game. It's still a win, but they win that game 3-2. Miller on the mound for them today is 1.42 ERA here. His last start out was probably one of his worst starts of the year. In fact, he still had a .79 whip, but let up 3 runs. Obviously, a big hit there. Waldichuk here on the mound for the Athletics, and this guy pretty much just chucks the ball with his foot. And I don't really trust the A's anyway. You guys know this has been the worst closing series for these videos over the last couple of days. I'm gonna lean towards the Mariners -1.5. Looking at a total of 8 runs. I like the over here. I think this Mariners team tees off today and has a very similar game to Game 1. 11-2. Maybe that's a little bit too much. But I think this Seattle team wins this game around 7-3 or something like that today. Definitely double digits. So guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the video. Hope you guys do enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.